Hey there, welcome back to Coding at Home with the Code Hub. Hey there, I'm Matt from the Code Hub. Welcome back. Today we're going to be working through some more augmented reality stuff. I hope you've been having fun so far. I'm having a blast. Every time I finish the session, I always think of more stuff that we could say or explore. So today we're going to be working with Reality Composer some more, the app that we've been playing with the last few sessions. You can get it for free from the App Store. Highly recommend going to get it. It's from Apple. You can export projects that you can then use in your own code. There's some amazing examples of WWDC sessions from last year that show off how to integrate it into your project. So when we get into that app development session, you're going to have a great time taking advantage of all these brilliant 3D scenes that we're building up. Now today we're going to focus a little bit on behaviors. So far we've worked on getting our objects set up. We created a behavior yesterday to launch our rocket. We looked at some of the common pitfalls we might see with different objects on the screen and making sure you've chosen the correct one. We've also looked at the different elements in Reality Composer that you can tap on to maybe turn on the properties inspector, to turn on the behaviors inspector, to turn on AR, and then to preview it, your scene, to actually play it. So we're going to be doing more of that today. We're going to be playing around a little bit more with physics this time around. And let's get started. Actually, before we get started, this is like Christmas month for Apple developers, because at the end of this month, we're going to have WWDC. I'm hoping to do something a little bit special for it, so we can maybe watch some of the sessions together or go over and talk about some of the sessions that go on. WWDC is Apple's developer event that happens every year, where they discuss new technologies, new frameworks, new capabilities for frameworks like Reality Composer, like Reality Kit, like Swift Playgrounds. And it's a real inspiring set of events to watch these things and watch these really top of their game developers talk through different technologies that they've spent a lot of hours working and perfecting. So we'll be talking more about WWDC as these sessions go on. But for now, let's get over to Reality Composer and start playing. All right, here we go. So we've got Reality Composer, of course, right here. I'm going to open that up. Now, this is a little scene that I was playing with earlier. Well, actually, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to hit the back button and go back to my project. This is the one I was working on yesterday. This is not a very helpful naming convention. So let's rename this. If I tap on the name of the project, I can actually rename them. So let's call this one 2 Rockets. Done. So this will at least help me find some of my projects and understand what it was I was trying to do with those projects. Okay, so I'm going to open up 2 rockets. Now you may have 2 rockets in your scene right now. You may have gone off and created other stuff. All right, so let's tell you what. We're going to do a little bit of scene physics today. We're also going to play around with some different behaviors. I want to have my rockets launch. So, and you remember we have this one a little bit off the ground because we had a puck underneath it. That was the launch pad. We'll put that back in. Let's add a new object though to our scene. Actually, scratch that. Let's show you what our scene looks like. If you remember, because maybe you don't remember what we did yesterday, or maybe you're new. So what I'm going to do now is, I've had to stand up because we're a little bit more active when we're doing augmented reality development because we have to move around. I'm going to go tap on my AR button here in the toolbar to show what this scene looks like in reality. So I'm going to move my iPad around a little bit. Let's get our launch pad back. Let's put it over here today. Nice little plug for the Bruins. Now, because I don't have the blue play button highlighted, this is still in edit mode, so I can configure where these are. That spaceship looks like it's right on my desk. This one's floating above. So I'm going to tap on this rocket ship. And now I can drag this over if I'm having trouble dragging it, I might tap on the red cone and move it that way. Maybe that's how you get a more precise placement. So there we go. We've got our rocket ship roughly on the puck. We don't want it falling off. So here, let's push it back a little bit. There we go. All right, cool. Now if we hit play, remember we hooked up some behaviors for this rocket. So I can go and tap on our rocket. Oh, and we added a funky one where it kind of rotates a little bit. All right, there we go. We've got our behavior, and then that guy wiggles around a little bit. Now, when we looked at this yesterday, we had a small issue with our behavior. So let's go look at the behaviors and see how these guys, we expect them to perform. This is the behaviors button here. You can see this one, this button here is my properties inspector, so I can inspect. Right now I'm just inspecting the scene. So objects are going to collide with the plane. So let's turn off AR for a second. This is the plane, this grid with the lines on it. And you can see over here scene physics or set. I can have it collide with the plane, or I can have the objects collide with nothing. Well, since we're going to be placing this scene on a tabletop, let's have it collide with a plane, because things would bounce off of our desk if that were an actual, where we were actually placing this rocket. I'm going to tap on this button here to go to behaviors. Okay, so I have two behaviors defined, behavior and behavior 1. Now this is terrible. I probably should have renamed these. And if I tap on it once, I can do that. So let's call this launch rocket for our behavior name, because we have these two items here. Now, yesterday, so we have this funky, we have an additional one here. Obviously, I was playing around with this after the fact. So we have this notify behavior and or action sequence. Let's tweak that. So you remember, when we have a behavior, we have a trigger. So in this case, I have tap. If I tap on affected objects, it will highlight for me that rocket. So when I tap this rocket, this is the action sequence that's going to get triggered. Now, I have a few different things here. I have a look at camera action sequence. I have a move, rotate, and scale by. So wherever it is, it'll move this thing up 5 meters. Okay. It'll ease in. That's the type of animation it'll do. So it'll slowly start and then speed up as it goes. It doesn't rotate at all, and it doesn't scale. It stays the same scale. That's the first action. And the affected object is this one. And I can see the dotted line of where it's going to go. And if I tap on the grid, I can actually move my scene around so I can see where we're moving. Okay, cool. That's cool. Now look at camera. If I tap on look at camera, the affected object for this one is the same one. Well, that got a really kind of funky wobbly effect. So maybe what we'll do is we're going to tap on this look at camera bar up here. We're going to tap and hold. We're actually going to delete this action. And this notify action is something that would hook it up to our code. So if we wrote some code in Xcode, we would be able to get a notification when a particular action sequence went off. So we're going to delete that as well. So I'm going to tap and hold on notify and then hit delete. Okay, so now let's try playing this and see what it looks like. We can preview it down here. So if I hit the play button, we can see that, okay, cool, it just takes off. I can't move my iPad or anything, even though I just tried to, because I'm not previewing it in AR. If I hit the AR button, I'll be able to see where it goes. So you remember we had two different actions. We also had an action on this rocket there, and it may be in this behavior. Nope, it's not in that behavior. In fact, we're going to press and hold. Should leave that for now. All right, so launch rocket. So the other thing we did yesterday was we added a behavior because we had turned into some kind of mad scientist and we wanted to sabotage the rocket launch. So when the rocket launched, when we tapped on the rocket, we also wanted this thing to wiggle or do something. So we can do that by adding an action sequence. By hitting the plus button there. We can emphasize it, we can move, rotate, scale to, or scale by. This scale to just means that you're going to, regardless of what size it is or where it is, what positions it's in, you specify a position on this grid. Scale by says, well, wherever the item is, so if this object had moved around and I wanted it to scale by and add 5 meters to its y-axis, then it's going to go 5 meters up from wherever it is. Whereas if I say move up 5 meters, it's only going to do that in relation to the base. All right, so add force, we can have stuff orbit, we can have stuff spin. Well, let's have stuff, this one spin, because that'll look like something seriously wrong. We have to pick our affected objects. And in fact, I have a message here saying that I can select the affected objects for the spin action. I'll tap on our backup rocket. There we go. We're actually just we've got a good feedback coming in. We are slightly cut off because for some reason I screwed up my screen. Here, we'll bring this back on. There we go. Now you should be able to see my entire screen, which is way more helpful. So now I have a spin action in there. You can see that there's a space between these two. So there's a green line around this action. If I tap on my move, rotate, scale by action, now there's a blue line around this one, but they're very separate. So let's preview this and see what happens here. So I'm going to turn on AR. I'm going to move our iPad. Oh, we're missing again, so we're going to move these guys, move the whole scene over. Oh, we're a bit off. All right, let's drag them down. Get it set up again. Way too close to me. We're going to drag this down. A little bit up. This is kind of nice because we can work in 3D space by actually walking around the space, which is way easier than, well, for me anyway, than in Blender where you have to kind of wrap your mind around it. Okay, cool. So there's our rocket. There's our backup rocket. We're going to run our animations when we tap on that rocket and see what happens if we're an evil scientist here. So we're going to tap on the rocket. You notice I just pressed the play button, so all the chrome went away except for our stop button. I tap on that. There goes my launch. That takes off. The backup rocket hasn't moved yet. And it only moves at the end. That's because our action sequences go in order. So to get these to happen at the same time, because obviously we don't want to just have animations that one runs after the other. That, we're going to want our animations to be pretty dynamic and all potentially happen at the same time sometimes. We can tap on this spin action. So I'm tapping and holding, and I can drag it over here on top of my move, rotate, and scale by animation. And now you can see there's a line highlighting both of them, because now they'll happen together. So let's preview that and check it out. That's way more interesting. So just hit the play button down here to preview it. I could also go up here and hit the play button to actually run the whole scene. If I tap, there we go. Now it was a very short spin, so maybe it's not super impressive, my mad scientist skills, but that's just me. All right, so we have a move, rotate, scale by, we have a spin. Now, I promised that we were going to do a little bit of physics work. Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to tap on the properties button, because that's where we set our physics. Now this is the scene physics, because we have nothing, no object selected. But if I tap on my main rocket, and it says there launch rocket in the inspector. I can change its position, its rotation, its scale. I'm going to have it participate in physics. Now for kicks, let's just run it. Let's have it be fixed motion type, and let's just run this and see what happens. So I'm going to hit the play button. I'll wait for you to flick that switch as well. You can set it on both if you want. And I'm going to hit the play button. Okay, nothing so far. If I tap the rocket to start it off, okay, there it goes, it's taken off. Still, everything looks kind of normal. All right, well, so nothing really happened. Our rocket is somewhere up there through our ceiling. Let's stop it. Let's tap on motion type and change it from fixed to dynamic. See over here? So we're going to pick dynamic. And let's try running it again. Hit run. Okay, I'm a little bit off. I'm going to hit run. There it goes. There goes the rocket taking off to space. That one's not spinning anymore. Oh, and then we had our rocket crash back to Earth, because it's got gravity operating on it, which is kind of cool. I didn't have to do anything except flick a switch and then set the physics property on that object to dynamic. That's amazing. That would have been way harder in the past. So when we pick a dynamic type and we turn on physics, we can give different material types. Now maybe this is not a lead rocket ship. Maybe it's not concrete either. Maybe we'll make it out of plastic. We can change the collision shape, because we're going to see some collisions later, into a box, automatic, capsule, or sphere. Well, let's see what happens if we change it to plastic instead of lead. I'm going to tap on the rocket and have it take off. There it goes. Looks kind of normal so far. Oh, much bouncier. So instead of falling down to Earth and then just sticking there, like if you dropped a block of lead, it was a lot bouncier because it's now plastic material. So they've taken into account the different types of materials and how they're going to interact with their physical environment. That's pretty impressive. Okay, well, this is not what we want for a rocket ship. So maybe what we're going to do is say, do you know what? We don't want this to be a dynamic motion type. Let's make it fixed. Let's tweak it again, because we're in edit mode now. I'm going to actually move it back onto our little launch platform. Okay, cool. Our backup one's still over there. I'm going to move it off of the coffee mug. There we go. Now, let's think about adding something else. So we're going to we have our two rocket ships. Let's give them a destination to go to. Let's add a moon to this whole scene. So I'm going to hit the plus button. Now, for a moon, we have a bunch of different choices. We have loads of sports things. We have these basic shapes, including these primitive shapes that are all automatically downloaded. We could make our moon or our planet that we're going to a sphere. Maybe that's what you want to do. You can add that. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to pick a marble. They look kind of cool for. Oops, don't want a balloon planet. Here, let's add. This one looks kind of cool. We pick this marble here. So that's going to download. All right, cool. Let's have a look. Oh, there goes. What we're going to do is we're going to turn off AR so we can work on this without having to have a plane inside. So I'm going to tap on the AR button. So now we just have our grid. Now to move around the space, I can't just walk around anymore. So now what I need to do is I need to tap on the grid area. So this gray area over here, with just one finger, and I can drag it around until I can see my marble. I'm going to use two fingers to pinch in And I'm going to tap on my marble. So let's call this, I don't know, planet. We'll call it Planet Marbs. Those crazy astronomers. Marks. All right, well, autocomplete kind of helped me. Autocorrect helped me out and renamed it. All right, so I have my planet. This is not a great spot for a planet on the ground of another planet. So what we'll do is we'll drag this up. In fact, instead of having to drag it way up, I'm going to go change the Y position over here. And let's put it up. Well, we travel up 5 meters, so let's travel up 5 meters for this one. You can see I had 500 because it was in centimeters. Now it's translated it to meters for me. If I move this around, I should see my marble way up there. Now we want to change the size a bit because this is kind of small looking, so we'll change the scale by dragging this slider over here. All right, how's that looking? I can pinch in and out. Okay, cool. Where's my, if I look way back down, there's my rocket down there. Okay, maybe the marble's not going to be the best choice. Maybe I want to use the sphere, but we'll stick with the marble for now. We'll use realistic. We won't have this participate in physics yet. But what we're going to do is, actually, you know what? Maybe this marble is a moon of another planet. So tell you what, we're going to move this over to the side. We can see where it's moving in relation to the ground, and way down there are our rockets. So I'm going to actually move it that way. I'm going to move it back this way a bit. We're going to make that into a moon. And you know what? 5 meters is actually kind of high. It'll be kind of hard to keep that in vision. So maybe what we'll do is we'll make it just 1 meter high in our little simulation here. Oops, not 100 meters. Make it 1 meter high. So now we're a bit closer down to the rockets. That's going to be our moon. Let's add another object here. So hit the plus button. I'm going to actually add a sphere this time. So that's in here. If you just tap on basic, you get back to the basic objects. You can actually do a lot with those basic objects. I'm going to tap on the sphere. You can see it's way down there again. So I want to try tapping on it. Oh, missed. I hit the rocket. This is where it's very helpful to name your things. So I'm going to pinch and zoom in. Tap on the grid and rotate around. Give that a try. Actually, this is a great way to navigate our scene, is if you just tap on the grid and rotate around. I'm going to tap on the sphere. So this one we're going to call, I don't know what we'll call this one, Planet Fish. I have no idea why we're calling it Planet Fish, but we're going to call it Planet Fish. We are going to make it a bit higher than that, so let's make it 1 meter. It just says 5. That's not helpful. 1. Nope, that's 1 centimeter. Let's try doing 100. I'm just changing the Y position here. So now my sphere is gone from the immediate vicinity of my rocket ships. And if I tap on the grid and I move it, I can see, oh, there it is. Cool. It's way up there. I can actually go and change here. If I tap on this button here, I can frame the scene or I can frame the selected. I want to frame the selected because I want to get right in close to the sphere. And I can tap around it. Let's try to find that marble. Let's make sure we're not squashing it anywhere. You know what, guys? I've actually lost my marble. There it is. So we're going to tap on our marble and maybe bring it down so that it's kind of near our moon or near our planet. We're going to scale up our planet so it's a bit bigger. Now there's some other kind of cool properties we can play with. We can play with the material that it's made out of. We can make it a super shiny planet. We can make it a gold planet, terracotta. let's tell you what, let's make ours matte planet, and we're going to change the color to, ooh, nice, pink or magenta. We can change the diameter to make it a bit bigger. Okay, cool. That would have been an alternative to using the scale. So maybe actually we want to say, oh, let's make that right. That's the color. We'll pick that. We'll change the scale back down to 100. I can tap in here. Instead of having 98.12, I can go in and type my number. Now I'm going to change the diameter down here under material color. So cool. There's our planet. That's looking pretty good. Now if we turn on physics here, this thing will crash back down to Earth. That's maybe not what we want. We want the rocket to go up to it. Let's then tap on this guy and let's add a behavior to our little marble moon. So I'm going to go up to behaviors again, which is this one here. We're going to add another behavior by hitting the plus button. Before we do that, we're just going to check and make sure that you're all set up. So we're going to hit that. Maybe what you want to do is place your, so this is kind of high up, so it's sort of hard to see everything on one. Maybe you could have your moon a little bit lower so it's within sight of your rocket ships. You notice I'm still on frame selected, right? So if I wanted to change it and look at the whole scene, I would tap on this button here and say frame the scene. Now I can see. Okay, cool. Now I've got my moon roughly around my planet. You can see it's been eclipsed by the planet for me. So if I wanted to see it again, I would tap on here and rotate it around. All right, we're a little bit far from our planet, but that's all right. We'll stick with that for now. All right, so I've got my scene sort of set up to perfection. I want this moon to orbit my planet, so I'm going to hit the behaviors button. We're going to go add a behavior. Now, I want this to happen right at the start. I don't want this to happen on tap or anything. So what I do is I'm going to create a custom behavior down at the bottom of this list. I'm going to tap on, I'm going to name this one because now I've got a few behaviors. So I want to make sure that they're named so I know what's going on. So we'll call this moon orbit. Now we add a trigger. And so we used tap last time. We're going to use scene start this time. So right when I hit the play button, when I hit this play button, this is going to start its action sequence. So now I've got to pick, and you notice this doesn't, because I'm starting this when the scene starts, I don't have to select an object to trigger this action sequence. So now I'm going to add an action to do. And handily we scroll down, we have an orbit action. So let's tap on orbit. And now we have some different options in here. So before we had just the affected object. And then we had the duration and the positions and everything. Now we can pick the affected objects. So we're going to pick this. We're going to tap on the blue marble there. Cool. The center is going to be our planet. And if you miss, you can always just go back and tap on choose to reset which affected object you have and which center you have. The really nice thing is that you can hit this play button at any time. Okay, that's maybe a bit past 1 second to orbit around the planet. Let's fix that. But this play button's handy because that's how you can debug. Just like we debugged code, you can debug your actions. This is sort of writing code for the Reality Kit to execute inside Reality Composer. So we're actually going to make it take a little bit longer. Maybe we'll have it take about 20 seconds. Again, I could have tapped in here to change the number of seconds. Instead of 20.17, I could have made it exactly 20 seconds. We can change the number of revolutions. We can have an orbit in different directions. There's a really good demo on in the developer app that we showed you a couple days ago, where they actually set this up and they build this beautiful looking seasons app, and they have the moon rotating around the Earth and the Earth rotating around the sun. All right, so we have it going anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. We'll have it go anti-clockwise. We'll have it aligned to path. Let's try playing that. Okay, all right, cool, not bad. There it goes behind it, comes out in front of it. Let's try playing our scene and see what happens with these behaviors. All right, so we're going to tap on AR. We'll move the iPad to start. There go our rockets. If we look up, we should see there's the moon. Oh my God, there's the planet. It's kind of massive. Okay, cool. Well, let's see. I might not have a long enough cable for this one. Let's hit play and run it. So if I look, there's my planet. Oh, there goes the moon whizzing around. We'll come into there it goes. Feel like a real astronomer. All right, there's our rockets. Let's tap it. There it goes. Okay, it looks like our rocket went up right through the planet. Not great. So let's change the distance that the rocket travels by going into the launch rocket behavior. And all we're doing now is this is just debugging. We're just trying to figure out, all right, why is it not behaving the way we expect it to? So if we look at our move, rotate, scale by, we can change the position. We're going to change that from 5 to 1. Okay, so it'll go up 1 meter. And make sure you check out the measurements at the end, because if it's centimeters, it's going to be a much shorter flight than a meter. So if we tap on it now, there it goes. It's going to go much slower because it doesn't have to go quite as far. Maybe it's too slow. All right, well, yeah, that's a bit too slow for me. So let's tweak that again, make it go 2 meters. And we're going to change the duration so it goes a little bit faster because that rocket is taking a little too long. So let's go 3 seconds roughly to travel. So, all right, we'll hit play. There's our scene. We're going to tap on that rocket. Off it goes. Oh, looking way better, much more rocket-like. Oh, and it's just wedged itself inside the planet. Well, let's try turning on physics and seeing what happens. We're going to hit stop. We're going to go back to our properties inspector. And now we have a few different objects here to play with. Let's turn off AR so we can find them easily. So let's turn on. So we have on our rocket, if we tap our rocket, we have physics turned on and it's got a fixed motion type. Let's turn on physics for our planet. So if we scroll down here, we're going to say, yep, it participates in physics. Let's give it a fixed motion type. And will we make it an ice planet, concrete planet? Maybe we'll keep it as a concrete planet. Now let's see what happens when we bump into that planet now. Because we have these things, these collision types defined now. So we'll see if we can actually notice when our rocket hits our shape and if plastic can go through concrete. So let's turn on AR. Cool, there are our ships. We hit play. I'm relatively happy with the placement. Our planet is just up there. Let's tap on the rocket. Off it goes. Okay, oh, it still wedges itself. All right, well, what we're going to try doing tomorrow is we're going to try to figure out how to get that rocket to bounce off of our planet. Now, I don't recommend doing that if you're building your own rocket ship and your own rocket program. I would not recommend bouncing your rocket off a planet. I would probably try to land a little bit more softly. But that's what we're going to do because we're playing around with augmented reality, and we can do all sorts of things that maybe we couldn't do in real life. So tomorrow, a little bit more with Reality Composer, play around with physics, see if we can get our rocket ship to bounce off of that planet. And then we're going to look at some other types of anchors that we can use and how physics interacts with those. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you had fun, and we'll see you tomorrow.